Here I'm going to demonstrate how to take some drill hole data and import it into GEMS. So let's say you've got some drill hole data as a series of tables in tabular format. So for example, here you might have, you would have the collar file or the header file, which includes the hole ID, the coordinates of the collar and its length, and you'd have a survey file which gives you the downhole orientation of the hole. So here's the hole ID, a field that tells you the distance down the hole of a particular measurement, and that measurement gives you the azimuth and dip of the hole at that depth. And then another table, another possible table would be an assay table where you have samples taken from the holes. You'll have the hole ID, you'll have the interval of the sample, so the top, the depth to the top of the sample, the depth to the bottom of the sample, and then some value expressing grade perhaps. So the idea is to take this data and bring it into GEMS so that we can work with it. So here we have our GEMS project that we've already created, and I'll put a link up here to tell you how to create a new GEMS project if you don't know. So the idea is to go to the workspace menu item and go to create or modify workspace. So here what we're going to do is we're going to create a place in the database to hold the information about this, hold the drill hole data. So I'm going to press this button here to create a new workspace. I'll accept the default settings here. I'm going to select from this list what kind of workspace. It's going to be a drill hole workspace. I give it a name. Hit next. Pretty much 100% of the time I work with this, I'm selecting this distance type survey. So it's asking me what kind of survey table, what kind of format the survey table's in. And I think I hardly have ever seen anything but that data provided as a distance table. So I'll accept the default settings here and finish it off. Okay. So what that's done is given me two new tables in the database behind GEMS. There's one for the header file, there's one for the survey file, and we see looking back at the raw data I have a header file, I have a survey file, but I also have this assay table here. So I need a place for this to go. I currently have a place for the survey data to go and the header data to go, but I need a place for the assay data. So what we're going to do is hit tab a couple of times to add a new line here, and I'm going to type in assay. I know it's an interval table. I've got a bunch of froms and tos in my assay table, so I'm going to select interval table as the table type. And it's already given me a hole ID field, a from and a to. But again, looking at the raw data, I've got a field for the drill hole from the to, but I need one for grade. So let's add one. So I'm just going to, from the bottom line, I'm going to hit tab a couple times to start a new line. Give it a name, give this a new field and the name of grade. I'm going to select real, and this is this data type will allow me to have numbers with decimal places in it. And that's it. I'm going to hit save. Just so you know, I could add more fields if I wanted to. If there were fields in the header table that I wanted to include, I could expand this It's already got all the fields I want for the data I have, but I might have other information, and I could add new fields to any of these tables, really. But that's good for now. I'm going to hit save. And me talking has caused a problem. There. Okay. So now I've got a place in GEMS to put this information. Now I need to get it there. And to do that, what I'm going to do is go to File, Import. So here I've navigated to the location of my drill hole database, which is provided as a series of individual text files or CSV files. And so I'm going to start with the header file. Open. Now it's asking me, well, where do you want this data to go? I know I built this DHDV database, and that's where I want this data to be piped into. And it's asking, well, what profile do you want to use to import this data? And the profile pretty much tells the program where the individual columns are supposed to be from the file, where those columns are supposed to fit in to the database. Okay, so we'll create a new profile, call it header. I'm going to click this modify button. It's giving me some options. For now, I'm adding only new data, and I'm selecting, because I'm working on the header file first, I'm going to select only the header table. It's a comma delimited file, so it's already selected comma as my delimiter, and I can look down here and see the header file, the CSV file, and how GEMS has partitioned it based on the location of commas. I'm going to skip this. Now it's asking, okay, well, where is the key field for this table? And pretty much what I want to tell it is where the whole ID column is, and it's already selected by default the first column, which works. And now it's asking me, okay, for the rest of these columns, which ones do you want to bring in, and two, where should they go? So at the moment, the only thing I'm bringing in is the whole ID field, and it's skipping all the rest. So, and that's not what I want, so to fix that, I'm going to select the location X column. I'm going to instruct GEMS to import it, don't skip it. What table is it going into? It's going to go in the header table. And then what field in that table is it going to? It's going into the location X field. And that's why I like to keep this header line in, even though it'll give me an error along the way. It just helps me map these fields. Okay, so Y location, I want it to go in the header line, or the header table, into the location Y field. Same with the Z. And then I want the length of the whole to go into the header file and a length field in the header file. Hit apply. Okay, so I've created this profile that maps the data in my text files to where they should be going into GEMS database. Okay, so I've imported the data. I got this one error saying, look, the first line in that file was no good. It didn't have the right format, and that's because it was the file with all the labels in it, or the line with all the labels in it. I could have avoided this error by using an option earlier, but I don't mind getting this. It's more useful for me to keep this line in and just deal with the error. And the way to deal with the error is just to ignore it. Okay. So you see now that my drill hole database that I built is showing up on the left-hand side here, and it's showing up red because I've just added data to it, and that's asking, it's compelling me to save those changes. And now you can see I've got a couple of holes that are showing up in my 3D view, and they won't show up right away. The way to get there is you need to hit this zoom to extents button, and that'll shift the view to the coordinates of the data you have open. Okay, but I know they're not vertical holes, and I know there's more information than just this. So I need to continue importing data, my drill hole data. Next we'll go with this survey file here. And it's important to start with the header file, or else none of the other, importing any of the other tables first will give you all kinds of errors. I need a new import profile. So I had one for the header table, but I need one for the survey table. So I'll create a new one here, call it serve. I'm going to hit this modify button. Only add new data, I'll stick with that. And then this time, instead of adding data to the header table, I want to add it to a secondary table. But I have two options. I have the survey and the assay tables, which are secondary tables. They're subordinate to the header table. So is the survey data I'm going to bring in, I'll select that survey table. Again, the delimiter for this file is comma separated. I can look down here and see the data in that CSV file and how it's been partitioned already, which looks good. I'm not going to skip the header row. The whole ID, it's looking for that key field, and so we're going to use, again, whole ID. And then it's going to ask us for another key field. Because this is a subordinate table, it needs two key fields. And we're going to select distance as the second key field. Now, again, GEMS expects to import this column. So far, it's skipping these other two fields until we tell it to do otherwise. So I'm going to select the azimuth column. I'm going to toggle on, just give it the instruction to import the column, and let's go into the survey table, and it's already automatically picked the azimuth field. So I'll accept that. I'll move on to dip. I want to import this column, and I want it to go into the dip field in my table. Finish. Okay. Next, finish. All right, it's imported 28 or 29 lines, and that first line got rejected because it's this text field with all the labels. Okay, we'll save those changes. Now we can see that my drill holes are no longer completely vertical. They're dipping in various directions. All right, one more time to import the assay data. I want it to go into my drill hole database. The import profile, I don't have one for assays yet, so I'll make one. Click this modify button. I want to add new data. It's going to go into the secondary table called assay. It's delimited for me based on the commas. I can see the fields from my text value. Ask again, what's the primary key field? Whole ID is good. This time it wants a secondary one as well, and we'll use the from field. And then what about these other ones? I want the to field to get piped into the to field in the database. And grade, I want it going into grade. Finish, apply, okay, next. Okay, so I've brought in all the data now that I wanted to, just make sure to save it. And then in a later video, I'll show you how to display some of that data in GEMS.